CMPradio.net, man. We are live in the Cultivating Mature Positivity studios. You already know who I am. I am your host. I'm not sure. That's not my show. This is really not my podcast. I'm interviewing. That's what I'm doing. I am interviewing the host of a brand new podcast coming to the CMPradio.net network, to the family. You can go on to YouTube. You can like, follow, and subscribe to our page. Check us out on Facebook. You can like and follow our page. We're getting a TikTok real soon. We'll be breaking down all of our podcasts. But this podcast is close to me because I had the idea of talking to the elders of our community. I'm not going to say the old people, but the elders of our community, and just asking them questions. And I got a inbox, and it kind of felt like my mom was yelling at me. You know what, Pierre? You know what you need to do? You need to. And I said, you know what, Miss Renee, you are absolutely right.
Yes, I didn't. Yes. I did inbox you, but I didn't say, I didn't say that.
Well, how did the inbox go?
Just a suggestion.
Right.
I watched the show today or something like that. Uh-huh. And I kept watching. I'm thinking, I think you're missing a piece. I think you're missing a demographic here that's not being represented. And it was the senior citizen. And you agreed, right?
I definitely agree, right? I definitely agree. I want everybody to use this platform to talk about all the differences and all the ways we are alike, right? Because there are different ways we're different in so many ways, and we're alike in so many ways as well. So for me to come up with this idea, we've been talking about this for 2 years.
Maybe three.
Maybe three?
Maybe three.
That far back?
It's been a while.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Right.
What's supposed to be is supposed to be.
Absolutely.
It wasn't supposed to be then, so it's supposed to be now.
It's supposed to be now.
Exactly.
Right. So then, I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's come up with this idea. So we had a couple meetings. We sat down and we talked about it. We have a guest list full of people. Now, the song that's supposed to be the intro for the podcast is not available yet, right? Because this is not really the podcast. This is the interview of Miss Renee before the podcast, and just to give her a feel of how it feels to be on the other side, right? She was like, well, when we going to test it? I said, we could test it through an interview. We could do an interview, a little mock interview, right? And we're talking about your life, your experiences, your dreams.
Okay, you got the questions. So
your goals.
I'm in your court today.
And also this why this podcast and why now, right? So we're going to get into these questions as soon as I'm done sharing this podcast for everybody to check it out. Again, like the page, follow the page, follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube. And this is the Golden Age podcast.
Yes.
And I know you know the song, right? Golden Time of Day, Frankie Beverly and Mays. As soon as I get permission to play that song, I will. I'm trying to do everything the right way.
Oh yeah, we want to be legal and above board.
Right. So but this is the podcast. This is Miss Renee. Hello. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Renee Clark Graham. You can just call me Miss Renee. That's fine. That's what I'm used to. It's okay.
That's what you're used to?
That's what I'm used
to. Miss Renee?
Miss Renee.
I got you. So we're going to get into this podcast. We're going to get into these questions. Now, I have 45 questions.
Oh, my God.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I have 20 questions.
Okay.
But my first question to you is, what does Chester mean to you?
Oh, gosh. That's loaded.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Well,
first of all, Chester is home for me.
Okay.
The only home I've ever known. I moved away twice, came back twice because my family was still here. Chester is everything home, everything familiar. I grew up here. I was born here. Most of my family is still here. That what's left of them is still here. And that's just what it is. It's the heart and soul. It's not always portrayed as a good place, but when I travel and come back, there's no place like home.
No place like home.
Regardless of what the circumstances are with the city, It's home, and that's it. That's just the bottom line for me.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, it means a lot. I get kind of upset sometimes when I hear people say different things about Chester, and especially when they don't really know
No,
what's
right,
here and what's
right,
going on.
right.
And I would not. Oftentimes, the newspaper doesn't give you
No,
the
it
right
doesn't.
spin on things, and the news doesn't give you the right spin. But the people are who they are. They're people just like everybody else. We have our problems, but it's okay.
Yeah. I mean,
It's okay.
you're a community, and in
Yeah,
a community,
exactly.
you come up with different things that are good, different things that are bad.
Right.
I feel like in most black communities, we have this thing called the lamestream media, right?
Okay.
And they run with if it bleeds, it leads. So most of the violence that is portrayed in our community
Mm-hmm.
is oversaturated in our community,
Yeah.
right? And the negative stereotypes are pushed.
They are.
Black men don't care about their kids. Black women don't care about the men, right? And
It's not safe to walk the street.
it's not safe
that
to
whole
walk the
thing,
streets
yeah.
of Chester. Now, I've had a few people come through and talk to me about the community of Chester and how they view it. And then I've had a few people come through the radio station, and then we take a tour of the city of Chester, and then they can see
Right.
just how important the radio station is. So for you to see the city the way you see the city, love the city the way
Mhm.
you love the city, give me two things that you can say are Chester. And this is from your childhood
Oh gosh.
all the
Okay.
way up to where you are right now. Two things that you could say, are Chester. It could be a cheesesteak, it could be a hoagie, it could be the marching band, right? I'm just giving
I
you
have
different,
a few
right?
things I could think
Right.
that could answer that question. The first thing I think are the communities. Chester is very family oriented. No matter what you read or what you see, people in Chester are about family, and it's not far. Everybody knows somebody that knows somebody in your family. Okay, it's only like 4 or 5 steps away from I know who you are. They can identify with who you are. So I think it's very family oriented. Number one. Number two, the hoagie. Yeah, that
Right.
started like here. Well,
Right.
maybe not, but Mom's Hoagie Shop. That is Chester. When you talk about what Chester is, that is part of Chester's history. The sign that used to be over town, over here, what Chester makes Chester.
Right.
That's another thing that identifies us.
Absolutely.
The Chester High School marching band.
Mm.
There was none like it
Right.
back in the day. None like it.
Right.
And it was an honor and a privilege to be in that band. And if it was like if you were in the band, you got respect. You was like, oh, he's or she's in the band.
Absolutely.
That was it. You know what I mean? And then there was the church piece, the spiritual guidance. There's a church almost on every corner. There's churches everywhere. If Chester, for Chester to be as small as it is, we have a lot of churches.
Mm.
So I think that that Christian upbringing, that church-based faith, plays a part in Chester. And those are the things I think of when I think of Chester. That's what I think of.
Right. So we have tons of things that I'm proud of in the city,
Mhm.
right? Things that move
Mm-hmm.
people forward. Give me that thing that when you were a kid, right, that you just had to do, right, in the city of Chester, right, for the city of Chester.
Mm-hmm.
Because you when were you born? Can I ask your
Sure.
birthday, right?
I was born in 1956,
19.
so right in the middle,
Okay.
basically in 56.
Right.
Okay, finish your question. You didn't. I'm sorry. I
That's
didn't cut
one
you off.
thing that when you were a kid you just had to do,
I had
right?
to do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
That one place that you went and that y'all did things as kids coming up in the city of Chester.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we had quite a few movie theaters. Well, by the time I got to be school age, I think we had maybe 3.
Right.
And years before I was born, there were like tons of movie theaters. But we had, I think, the State Movie. We had the Boyd Theater, and there was another one. I can't think of what it is. Skating rink. Had to go to the skating rink. My dad didn't want me to go to the skating rink. Not safe, you can't go, no. So it's like, okay. But that was one thing you had to do. You had to skate, go to the movies. and basically just hang out, because we were a generation that did not sit in front of the TV and do video games and stuff. We were outside after school. After the homework was done, you changed your clothes, you went outside. You played with your friends. Girls was jumping double dutch. We were doing all kinds. We were all over the neighborhood. And I knew that at a certain time, when I looked at my watch, okay, it was time for me to start heading home. Before it got dark, I needed to be on my way to Curlin Street. And those are just some of the things that you just had to do. And at that point, I felt very safe doing it. Walking the streets, it was not a big deal, you know. But my father, being in law enforcement, saw it through another lens. So it was kind of like, I got to strike a balance here with this dude. He's got to let me do some stuff. So I was able to kind of talk my way into some things, and it kind of worked for me. So it wasn't that bad.
Right. It wasn't that bad. We have somebody on the live that's been a little bit disrespectful. So 1 second. Star Corey, you can come and see me whenever. 114 West 5th Street. You want my phone number? I'll give it to you, 484-802-2383. There's something that I've done or you feel irate about something, you can hit me up. People say you should ignore them when they do stuff like that, but I feel like people need attention sometimes.
Okay.
So, yeah. 114 West 5th Street, bro.
Oh, wow.
Right. Anyway.
Live
Let's get
TV,
back.
you just never know.
You never know. You feel me? And I feel as though, just to address, because I wouldn't have addressed it if he didn't end it the way he ended it twice.
Okay. All right.
And the last person that called me that. Right.
Well, I'm glad I can't see it. So
yeah. I'm glad you can't see it either. Right. But let's get back into this interview, Miss Renee. You grew up. Where did you grow up in the city of Chester?
On Curlin Street, between 6th and 7th on Curlin.
Right. You had a daycare there.
I started off my daycare there. I did in the house where I grew up.
Okay, explain that, because you went. Okay, let's go back. The high school. Were you in the band?
For 1 year.
One.
1 year.
Right.
10th grade year.
Okay.
And that was it. But I had fun doing it. It was just like Miss Corso, not Miss Corso, Miss Fitzpatrick was very competitive with the area high school, so she added this special color guard line thing.
Right.
So I did that for as long as it was in that my season. That was my 15 minutes of fame. That was it. And that was it. But I had a good time.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was part of the Chester High band. Carried a lot of clout.
Right. It definitely did.
It did, for sure.
I was in the band. My mom was mad at me.
See, why? Your mom was in the band.
But I didn't know how to play any instruments.
What do you mean?
I didn't. So when y'all it started in grade school. It started in grade school for most of the people that were in the band.
Yeah, I took clarinet lessons.
Clarinet lessons,
grade, yeah.
right? Trombone lessons.
You went to Caruso's. That's where everybody went to. Caruso's.
Right. So I didn't do that. Right.
What did you do?
I just joined the band.
How do you just join?
I just went there.
How did Claire Fitzpatrick let you just join her band?
No, it wasn't Claire Fitzpatrick. It was Miss Brooks when I was in high school.
Oh, okay.
Miss Brooks.
Okay, I know who that is. Yeah.
Really? And she had she taught me some lessons, but it was basically did 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Okay.
And you'll
but
have.
It was enough for you
I
to
didn't know how to read any music.
Wow.
Right. Know how to do any of that stuff. It was just something for me to do. She put me on the trombone, and I was good playing it. You feel me? Like,
wow,
but,
that doesn't happen often.
But yeah, my mom was not.
Because she went to Caruso.
Yeah, she had to go through the learning of
the notes, right, the music,
and reading all that.
Practice every day. That
so
was something different.
She was definitely on me, and she was
That's funny.
well, why can't you read no music? I said, Mom, I never learned how to read music, so I don't know. But I'm in the band, so you should be happy for that. So so in the band for 1 year, 10th grade.
Right.
Why just 1 year?
That was it.
That was it.
Because at that point, I quit clarinet lessons. I think in like 8th grade or something.
Okay.
And I was like, no, to be in this band, you need to know what you're doing, and I can't be fooling with her.
There were musicians in the band.
They were musicians.
Yes, they were.
And she had that whole musicianship. She was not playing. You're going to be in the band. You're going to play an instrument. You're going to learn how to play it.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm done. But when I got a chance to do this little color guard thing, that was fine for me, and I was over it. I was done.
Right.
It was good.
Okay.
But there were musicians in that band, and some of those people I know still play today. You know what I mean? So she was serious about her band.
Yeah, they were.
She was serious.
And my mom was very upset with me. If she could have put me on punishment and stopped me from being in the band, she would have did that.
But you were in the Chester High band, so she was kind of mad, but she really wasn't mad. You know what I mean?
No. She was
mad for real.
No, she was mad for real.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she was upset for real.
I'm sorry about
that was
that.
disrespectful to
Right.
her band lineage,
How about it?
her sister's band
There
lineage.
you go. There you go.
You feel me? And how could you disrespect that by joining the band? I
Wow.
said, well, you sent me to Chester High. What else was I supposed to do?
Wow. But I think under Claire Fitzpatrick, that would not have happened.
No, I wouldn't have been allowed in.
That no.
Right,
You don't
right,
play
right.
an instrument. What are you talking about?
No, you want to go play
So,
you
yeah.
want to play the cymbals, or even to play the cymbals, you had to have music lessons. Musicianship.
She had to read.
Absolutely, showmanship and
That's
musicianship.
Right. She was all about that.
Right.
She meant that.
So, high school, you graduated, obviously.
Yes.
You go on to
CU, Cheney. Well, I went to Cheney State College. Now it's Cheney State University.
Okay.
I attended Cheney State College because I wasn't going to go to college. I'm
Right.
like, college for what? And my mother just said, she sat there. She's like, okay, let her have her moment.
Right.
And then by I guess October, I was working at Sears, and I was like, I don't think I want to do this no more. And I came home. I said, you know what? I think I want to go to school. She said, oh, you want to go to college? I'm like, well, yeah.
Why wouldn't I?
And she was like, okay, because I was so adamant I wasn't going to go.
Right.
I didn't want to go. And I'm like, okay, I can't be working at Sears for the rest of my life. I can't do that. So I enrolled in Cheney State in January of 75 and graduated in December of 78. So I put in some time. I had to do some summer school stuff, but I did it. And, at that time, Cheney they had 2 graduations a year, one in May and one in December. Okay. So I was still able to graduate with my class in 78 in December. So, it worked out.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I did.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. But my mom didn't trip. She was upset, but she didn't let me see that she was upset.
Right.
But she was kind of like, she got to do something, but she never, she didn't tell me all this till years later.
Right.
But she was happy with my decision.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
it worked out.
While you were in college, I guess you pledged, right?
I did. You think?
You think?
No, but I didn't pledge in college, but I always wanted to.
Right.
But yeah, it was on my mind.
Okay.
But I didn't have time because I had studies and stuff to do, and pledging, as wonderful as it can be, can take away from some of that. And I'm like, I can't waste my mother's money doing this. I can't do that. So
right.
I always had it in the back of my mind
that you wanted to do it. Right.
And eventually I did it.
All right, graduate chapter.
Yeah.
All right. That's awesome. And what fraternity is that?
It's the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Okay. All right. Shout out to all my Deltas out there.
Yeah.
Right? All of my Divine Nine. All my Divine
See,
Nine family. Yeah, absolutely. I always wanted to pledge too, but
what'd you want to be?
Don't worry about that. Who do I look like?
Come on.
What do I look like? If you had to judge.
If I see you now, if I look at you now, I see you wearing purple and gold.
Yes.
I knew it. I knew it. I see Omega all over your face.
All over my face, right?
It's not too late.
No, I know. I just gotta, I gotta get back to school and do all the things that that Omega man should do, right? So, but after college, where was your scope at? What were you looking? What did you major in? Right?
I was an education major.
Okay.
And then when I graduated, I think I did the same thing that most graduates do. I signed up to be a substitute teacher to see if I really wanted to do it, because being in the classroom and reading books about a classroom is a whole different other monkey.
Right.
And my first job was at Smedley Middle School on the east side, teaching 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. That was rough, because that age just, they stink. They make me sick. They know everything. I'm like, no. But I enjoyed it because it was a learning experience for me. And I taught there for 2 or 3 years. And then they had a layoff, so I stopped doing that. And what did I do after that? I got a permanent job, and I got laid off, and I stopped doing that. And then I think I started working. Where was I working? Oh, God, that was so long ago, JP. I don't even remember.
Don't even remember.
I think I was working at the mall somewhere or
Okay.
something, just,
Right.
doing something like that. And I decided, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll go to graduate school
Oh,
and, try to do that. So I started going to graduate school. And I'm like, okay, I'm broke and I'm in graduate school. How am I doing this? And see, at that time, it was easier because student loans were like, no, we didn't have student loans. We went on grants.
okay.
And I was able to get a grant to go to grad school.
Wow.
And I only went to grad school for a year. And that's one of the only regrets I really have in my life. And who's to say I'm not going to finish? You never know.
You never know.
But life starts life and you start doing other things, and it gets kind of sidetracked. But I do have that 1 year, but I do want to finish.
Right.
So eventually, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you're in grad school. You say, all right, I need to make money. You became an entrepreneur
I did.
shortly after that.
That was totally by accident.
Now, how did it become? How was it an accident?
My God. It was only because, all right, I got another job with the school district, working with a program that prepared preschoolers for kindergarten.
Okay.
Right? And it was supposed to be I think the contract was supposed to be for 2 years or something. They had money enough for 2 years. So I got hired as a teacher. I was teaching at Columbus.
Right.
And our program was based out of Columbus. And we started in September. And by like we started in September of 92. And by January, the new year of 93, the money was gone. I'm like, this is supposed to be funded for 2 years. How's the money gone?
Right.
Gone. Psh, no job. So I was left with these 10 kids. I'm like, okay, they need to be ready for kindergarten. What am I going to do? So I'm like, okay, let me think about it. So I went home. I asked my mom, I said, listen, I got these 10 kids. They have to be ready for kindergarten by next fall. I said, I want to bring them here. And I want to finish out the school year with them. And she said, well, what are you going to do for supplies? I said, don't worry about that. I'll get that.
Figure it out.
So then I started asking people. So people were donating. So it was really nice. People were donating things. And I said, Mom, this is only going to be until June. only till June. And she was like, okay, all right. So we had a front room area. We cleared all that out. And I started setting up the classroom and doing all this stuff. And we're doing our thing, right? And then I figured, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
I'm kind of liking this.
Right.
And then I said, well, let me apply to the state for a license. And I'll put it under the daycare umbrella, So that's what I did. And June turned into 29 years, right? So I know that without a doubt, that's what I was supposed to do with my life.
Right.
That's
That was
exactly
your
what I
purpose.
was supposed to do.
Right.
That was my purpose.
Right.
And
people think you know your purpose, and I
really
try to
didn't.
I try to
did
get
not.
people to understand,
did
right?
not.
You can think you know your purpose until your
No.
purpose presents itself.
And that's how it presented itself.
Right.
These kids had to be ready for kindergarten. I had no choice. I didn't want to leave them high and dry. And when I tell you, the first tuition I charged in 1993 was $25
$25
a week
a week, $100 a month
per child.
per child.
And the parents were like, okay, we're in. I'm like, okay. So they came in, they did their thing. And then June came and left. Then the summer came and it left. Then September came and the years just started rolling by.
Right. Real quick.
And yeah.
Because you were in your purpose, so time wasn't important
That's
anymore.
exactly.
You weren't
and my
counting
mom
the
was
months.
in the kitchen.
Right.
She was cooking for me.
Right.
So these kids were eating well.
Eating very well.
And flourishing and doing their thing.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm happy as I'm like, okay,
Right.
this is all right.
Right.
So by that time, my son was 2 in 93. So I'm like, okay, so he can't be here. So he needs to have his own life outside of here.
Right.
So I found a babysitter for him and didn't have to worry about him. So I could go ahead and focus my attention on my kids all day long without,
How old were the kids typically?
My kids were between 3.5 and 6 years old.
Okay.
Depends on when their birthdays were.
Right.
And I had only planned on having them up until pre-K.
Right.
And then someone put a bug in my ear and said, why don't you teach full-day kindergarten? Get out of here. I'm not doing that. So, okay.
You did
look
it.
into it.
You did it.
I did. I had a friend who worked for Chester Upland, and I got a copy of the curriculum.
Right.
And I'm thinking,
I can do that.
these kids can do more than this.
Absolutely.
They can do more than this.
Yeah, challenge your children.
And I'm like, you know what? It's
Right.
on. And that's what I did.
Absolutely.
And I started challenging them, and it just got kind of bigger, just got out of control. And it just went from there.
Yeah.
And that was my purpose.
Right.
And I fell into it accidentally.
Yeah. That's how it happens.
But God don't make no mistakes.
No,
he
he
knew what
don't.
I was supposed to do.
No, he knows
and
exactly.
I did it.
He knows
And
exactly.
he made, if you have a vision, he'll give you the provision. And he gave that to me. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I was on Curlin Street for 18, 19 years. And then I moved up to 24th Street.
What was the
But I
name of
sold
your?
houses. It's Graham Crackers.
Graham
Daycare.
Crackers
Yeah.
Daycare.
Preschool and kindergarten.
How many graduates you think you have from that? A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot. In 29 years?
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
a
lot.
lot.
And the thing was, the very first class I had, I started getting their children. So I'm like, okay, now it becomes generational. I'm like, oh, this is and it was kind of fun. I'm like, I can't believe I'm having your child. I had you at 4 years old.
Right.
But it happens.
Right.
So
And they know how much you influenced them at 4 years old,
I
how much
guess.
fun they
I
had.
guess, yeah.
They come looking for you.
And the
I'm sure you
foundation was
still
laid. It's
getting
like-
phone calls.
When I see them,
Right.
when they were going, some of the kids were going away to college. Like, Lord, they're going away to college. You know, they would stop by and, Miss Renee, I'm getting ready to go to such and such. I'm like, what? I'm like, how did that happen? You were just here at 4 years
Just
old.
here.
Boom.
14
Right,
years
and
later.
Every year I look, at the graduates, I'm thinking, that was one of mine.
Right.
That was one of mine. Here's one of mine over here. And some have graduated from college.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it just keeps on coming. And it feels very good to know I had a part of that. So it's all good.
Right.
It's all good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's all good.
Chester BA has a unique story and community spirit. How does living in Chester influence the content and stories you plan to share on this podcast?
Let's see. Okay, growing up with my parents divorced when I was like 13 or 14 or something like that.
Okay.
So I grew up with my mom, who at that point in the 50s was an older mother, I guess you could say. She was in her late 30s when she had me, and in contrast, people were having babies in their 20s.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, okay, fine. So I was always kind of around those women or those adults that kind of like, I wasn't listening. I could hear conversations and kind of like, and it kind of molded me and kind of led me to that path.
Right.
Because there were only certain places that I could go, only certain people's houses I could visit. And Jeffrey Street was one of those houses. What was the address?
324.
324.
Right.
So, I just kind of looked and took a piece from here and a piece from there, and it kind of came together. And those things stay with you. You don't think that they will.
They
But
do.
as you get older, I've heard myself like, I'm turning into my mother. I heard my mother say that to me, or a friend of hers say that to me, and those voices are always in your head, and they're always kind of like sitting right here on your shoulder, kind of reminding you like, hey, I think you get ready to go the wrong way or whatever. But sometimes you just have to go your own way and try to find your way back.
Absolutely.
But those voices of those ancestors, those elders. older
It's
people.
important.
Yeah, it is. I think so.
And that's why this podcast is important.
Yeah,
That's
I
why.
think so.
That's why you interviewing and talking to people who are in their 60s, right, on their experiences, their journeys.
Because we still have a voice.
You definitely have a
it's
voice.
not over.
Right,
We
it's not.
still have a voice.
It's not over till you
And
in
I believe that
in the ground.
the 60s plus
Right.
of today
Right.
are not the 60 pluses from
No,
25, 30
they're
years
not.
ago.
They're
Not the same
They're
at
not.
all.
No.
So we have a lot to say, and we're doing a whole lot of stuff, and people need to know.
Yes,
You know
absolutely.
what I mean? So I think hopefully I will be able to bring that to the podcast with my guests, because I have some very diverse guests that are coming to say some things
Right.
and share some information. So
Absolutely.
hopefully that will benefit.
Could you share a pivotal moment in your life that significantly altered your path?
I think becoming a mother, that'll do it.
Okay.
That'll do it.
Right.
Because your life is never the same, and it shouldn't be.
Right.
Because if it is, it's something wrong. Getting married and having a son changed my perspective on a lot of things. And I understood then, at that point, the things that my parents were telling me, I understood why. The bells went off, the
Right.
whistles went
Ding,
off.
ding, 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 ding.
Exactly. The light bulb was flickering.
Oh, that's what you was
So
talking about.
that's what she was saying.
Oh, okay.
You get a different perspective.
Absolutely.
And I feel that, I mean, I understand what a mother feels. It's like, you will do anything
Right.
for that child.
Right.
You will do whatever you need to do. And he's, at this point, he's 33 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But I will forever be his advocate. It doesn't matter.
Mm.
He's a grown man.
Right.
But he knows that if it really gets tight,
I'm here.
I'm right behind you. You don't see me, but I'm right behind you.
I think that's what mothers and fathers
They do.
both are supposed
Parents, that's
to
their
do.
job. It's
right?
true. It doesn't end when they get to be 18.
Doesn't end. It doesn't
like,
end until
no.
you end.
There you go.
That's when
There
you're
you go.
free
And
of the responsibility.
hopefully, after you've gone on, those lessons will
Right.
be thought about
Yes.
and
I think,
learned.
I think about everything that my father put on the table for me.
Right?
Everything that he left behind for me,
Mhm.
right? Or their life lessons, and they're hitting me today at
Hard.
44 years old.
Hard. There you go.
Because when he was giving it to me at 10, 11, 9, I care about what you're talking about. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And honestly, I remember a time when, I was begging him to go outside. We was living in the Benjamin Banneker. I'm looking out the window, and I was like, Dad, I want to go outside. He said, you see them 3 kids out there? You go out there and hang with them, you're going to be upstate with them.
Wow. He had that. He saw it.
And then he
You
died.
already knew. Wow.
And then fast forward to 2006, 2007, I'm looking out the window, and I see those same 3 kids, and it just flushed over me like, I told you. I said, what you say, Sally? He said, I ain't say anything. I mean, I felt like he was right there in
There
the
you go.
room.
It came to fruition, didn't it? It's like, wow.
And I felt so bad, bro. Like, I felt so bad. I'm like, I've been trying to get back at my mother and whoever I felt as though didn't. And the only person I was affected was me.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I'm in jail. My mother's not here, right? Nobody else is here, just me. And man,
it's rough. It's hard. But you have those memories. How old were you when your dad passed?
I was 12.
Okay, you have those 12 years with him.
Right.
You know what I mean? And my son was not that fortunate. He was only 20 months old. He was a baby.
Wow.
When my husband died. He didn't even know him. So I'm like, okay, at that point, I'm gathering up pictures. I'm trying to, give him everything I can give him. And as he got older, we talked about his dad and where these gifts came from, because he's an artist and he's very good.
Right.
But that came from him, and I just keep conversations going. Even now, if we're out eating dinner or something, I'll say, your dad, da-da-da-da-da. And he learns so much.
Right.
He has uncles. He has an uncle here that's remaining, who will maybe share some things.
Right.
But yeah, you were very fortunate to have those 12 years.
I didn't know how fortunate I was until that moment when I heard his voice. Right. And I realized he was still with me, and I was like,
how scary was that though?
It was.
That's a little jarring. Come on, seriously.
It should be, because it happened twice, right, in the cell. In that moment, I asked my cellie, I said, what you say? He said, I ain't say nothing. I just kept looking out the window. He said, you got to be about the dumbest fool I've ever. And I said, Sully, stop playing. He was like, bro, I'm not saying nothing. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I'm not going out to the yard, bro. And I buried my face in my pillow, and I think I cried the whole 2 hours, right? And when the door kicked open, my cellie came in. He said, yo, you all right? I said, yeah. You getting in the shower? I'm like, nah. Like, I didn't want to move because I knew. It wasn't that I didn't feel safe. I don't think I ever felt unsafe upstate.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Right? Because at the end of the day, there's no guns.
Right. Okay.
So all we have is our hands.
Right.
And one thing my dad taught me is when you're fighting, ain't no such thing as a fair fight. So whether you take
it used to be back in my time, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Whether you take his eye. You got his eye in your hand.
Oh.
You done stuck your thumb in his eye and you popped his eye out, right? Whether you kick him in the nut. I'm sorry. But, there's no such thing as a fair fight. So however you can use, pick up a brick.
That's what you use.
It's out there, right? So when I got in, I got to make a meal. You You feel me?
Right.
Little pokey poke. You feel me? And just in case something went down, you feel me? I was good, right? I had a couple old heads that was there that passed me off a couple things, and
Okay.
I was straight. But I never after that moment in that cell with my face in the pillow,
Yeah.
I wasn't the same after that, right? Because
That's life changing right there.
I finally realized that for the last 14 years after my dad died, for the
Right.
last 14 years, I've been trying to erase everything that he gave me, right? I put myself, I said, damn, he gave me everything. All I had to do was go to school and pay attention. Like all I had to do was apply myself, right?
And it's not like you didn't have the brain power to do it.
And then I think back to what the teachers told me, you're smart, right? But Mr. McDowell was telling
There
me,
it
you're a
is.
leader.
There it is.
And it was all in my face. And I was like, man.
I don't want to
like,
hear this.
all because I was upset at how my mom was, because I was used to my mom being everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize just how bad it is when you lose your partner.
Yes.
So I want to ask you about that, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Losing a spouse is a profound loss, right?
Right.
I don't know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually ran from that opportunity.
Okay.
You feel me? Because I was like, you're not going to die on me. You feel me?
Like, I'm not having that. No, we're not doing that.
But, how has that experience influenced your outlook on life and the way you approach your work and your personal projects?
Wow. Let's see. How old was I? I do everything by age. I'm going to say 37, right? With a 2-year-old baby. Having to do it on my own. Not that I didn't have family support,
right?
Because I had it all. I mean, I had all of that, but it's not the same as having that spouse there.
It's not.
And having his dad there to help me. I'm a woman. I don't know how to make.
How can I raise a boy?
I can't raise a boy.
Right.
So I did what I thought was best for him. And we just went and added together. We just kind of like, all right, dude, this is me and you.
Mm-hmm.
Took his hand and like, let's do this. And we kind of walked along, and we fell down a couple of times, but we got back up.
You get
know
back
what I
up,
mean?
right?
And then I learned that the journey is not always easy. It's not easy with two parents.
It's not.
It really isn't. And it was more of a challenge with one.
Mm-hmm.
But we got through it.
Right.
We got through it. Family, church, activities, the whole nine. It was a journey, but we made it. But I always kept his father here in his mind, so
Absolutely.
he knew where where he came from.
Right.
So that was never a question. And through the years, he would ask me questions. Well, did my dad do X, Y, Z, or what do you think my dad would do? About this, that, and the other thing. I'm thinking, and I give you the best answers I can.
Right. That's all you can.
That's all I can do.
Right.
So I mean, he knew that I was doing the best I could, and I think he turned out pretty good.
Right.
I think he did all right.
Did a good job.
He did
Right.
okay. He's not done yet, but he did all right.
Right. As someone who has experienced significant loss, what advice would you give to others dealing with grief?
Dealing with grief to me is different when you have children, and I know your mother can attest to this, because if it were just me, okay, I could just scream, kick, shout, do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. But when you have children, they're looking at you, and as long as they see their mother is okay, they'll be okay. Right. So I'm sure there were plenty of nights. I know for me, it was like I would go to bed, face wet, pillow wet, because I'm like, Lord, how am I going to do this? This child is a baby. I got, what am I going to do? Listen to advice, and you just have to pray your way through it. If that's what you believe in, you pray your way through it, and you keep on going. You tackle one challenge at a time, and that's really all you can do.
That's all you can do.
You know what I mean? And the thing was, my father had passed away years before that, so he didn't even know his grandfather. So it's like, gosh, so I got to tell stories about my dad and your own dad, which I did, but I was happy to do it. And then as he grew up, people would tell him stories. Oh man, I remember one time your grandfather, da 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 da, whatever. And he was like, oh really? I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of guy he was. So it's a journey. It's just one day at a time. There's no secret. There's no magic wand. You just have to go through it one day at a time.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna fall.
Yeah, you will.
Kids don't come with a book.
Nobody does.
Nobody does.
Nobody does.
So you have to kind of feel your way and use common sense. You know what I mean?
That's not so common.
It really isn't. It really isn't. You are so right. It really isn't. But you do the best you can do.
Right. That's all you can do.
And hope for the best.
Absolutely.
That's all you can do.
Oh man. What has been the most rewarding aspect of your journey as an entrepreneur, and how do you bring this perspective into your role as a podcast host?
Holy cow.
Right.
Oh,
and I know they really don't have a lot to do with each other, and you're just coming into this podcasting.
I am.
You need me to repeat the question?
No, I'll just take the first part because that's the part that I know for sure.
Okay.
We were talking about earlier about seeing the fruits of my labor through the kids who have graduated and gone on to do well, and now I'm having their kids, and it just gives you a rewarding feeling to know that you had a part of that. You know what I mean? Even if it was just a small part. It could be something that you said that triggers something in a kid. It's like, you know what? Because kids are very resilient, but they remember stuff that you say, right? They remember things, the way you treated them. They remember things that you say. And you may not remember saying it, but they do. It's like, wow. Or I was a big advocate of field trips. Every month we were going somewhere.
Right.
And it benefited these kids tremendously. Because some of these kids had never been out of the city of Chester before. And I'm like, we're going to change that. We're going to do something about that. So I institute every month, we're going somewhere on a field trip. Right. And I started on the phone, thinking all kinds of places. We went when I tell you we went everywhere that I could think of, we went everywhere I could think of.
Wow.
We drove, I took them on the train. We did all kinds of things just to give them the exposure. So I feel good about reflecting on that. So maybe I was a small part of something someplace that we went that affected them somehow. Now, as far as this podcast, I'm going to give it my best and do the best that I can with it. It's new. This whole thing is like
brand new.
Yeah.
Brand
This
spanking
was not
new.
what I expected.
Why isn't it what you expected? You brought the idea to
Wait
me.
a minute. All right. I brought the idea to you.
And you thought I was going to run with it?
No, I didn't know.
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
like, okay, you know what? These people are missing. You know, my age group is now missing.
Right.
And it took a long time. I'm thinking, well, maybe he's not interested in doing that. Oh. But like I said, the timing is everything.
Right.
So I'm going to bring to that. But I was not envisioning me being the host. This was not my plan.
I don't know why not.
It wasn't.
Well,
It just wasn't.
if you notice that something is missing, and this is what I want everybody to understand. When you notice that something is missing from somewhere,
right,
only you can bring what's needed to that place, right?
I hope I can do that.
So it's not just, Pierre, you're missing a podcast from this group. Well, if you notice that it's missing, then you can be that person to bring that piece in. And it's not so much you bringing that piece in, because you could have been like, you know what, I have these two people. You got to put it together, because I can't put it together the way you see it. It's missing. You're looking from outside. And I said the best view is from outside, always. People can judge you and look at you. You got the best view of what I'm doing.
Right.
And I don't have a problem with talking to anybody. That's why I told Star Corey to come and talk to me. Come see me, right? You can see what's going on. I can't see because I'm busy putting everything else up, right? So when you hit me up, and I was like, I didn't deny it. I didn't say no.
No, you didn't.
I said, come on, let's go. Let's get it together.
But
and
you
then
had a lot going on personally. There was a lot of growth happening here.
Right.
Changes.
Right.
So timing is everything.
Timing is everything.
So,
but I did when I hit you back.
Right.
Oh, I had it together.
You told me, all right, let's go. I'm like, oh, now he went, let's go.
The podcast was already together, right?
Okay.
Right. The golden age. Let's get this. I got it. I already had the theme song and everything, but I didn't have someone to do it. Right. I don't want to be. I don't. As much as people think, I don't always want to be talking. I don't.
Me neither.
I'd rather be behind the scene engineering and hitting buttons
and do it.
than to be talking. And maybe that's me. Maybe that's my self-doubt, right? In what I bring to the table. But
that's true.
I don't want to step on anyone else's shoes. So if you have the idea, it's yours.
Right.
Bring it. This is your podcast.
And that's what I've done. I mean, every idea that I've had, you've accepted it.
Absolutely.
And it's like, oh, that's really cool or whatever. And I'm still developing stuff. My ideas come to me when I'm sleeping. And I'm like, oh man, I have a pad and pencil
Right by
on
the
my
bed.
nightstand,
Yep, me
and
too.
I get up and write
Right,
stuff
right,
down, and I
right.
go back to sleep because I don't
sleep.
want to lose it.
Right.
So I've come up with some pretty decent topics, I think,
Okay.
that hopefully everybody will enjoy and want to,
Yeah, let's talk about
be a
some of your
part of.
topics.
All right.
All right.
Let's see. We have the active senior.
The active senior.
Yes.
So what is the active senior? What do you
The
mean
active
active?
senior is the person that is retired,
Right.
or maybe not. Not
No.
all 60-plus people are retired.
No.
Because I'm supposed to be retired, but I'm really not.
And my grandfather didn't retire
But,
till he was 85.
Oh, see. What keeps them going?
Mm.
You know what I mean? What motivates them to, some people retire and they just disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just, every time you see them, they're doing this, that, and the other thing. They're keeping busy,
Right.
keeping their mind focused, keeping their mind strong, their body strong, and they're just doing stuff. Maybe it's the time for them to do it now that they didn't do it when they were able to, when they were working, they weren't able to do it. So we have that. We have dating and relationships, couples, and we have a segment on loss and grief. We have one called Legally Speaking, Faith Walk, Depression.
Right.
And I have one called Black Don't Crack.
Black
That
don't
Black
crack.
Don't Crack.
It doesn't.
That it doesn't. And I just booked that in a couple weeks ago. And we have one, the last one I just thought of was senior safety. Those are just some of the things. Because seniors need to be safe out here, not
do.
only in their own homes, but from scammers and all
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I found a person who's going to come and talk to us about that.
Awesome.
So I've been thinking and working on some stuff. So it does, once I decided, like, okay, I'm really going to do this. This is going to happen. Then the thoughts started flowing, started coming, to light. So I guess this is what I'm supposed to do for now. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's
going
what
to be
you're supposed to
obedient,
do.
and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Until you say you can't do it no more.
Exactly.
Right. That's
So
all.
it's like, it's a challenge, but
Yep.
what isn't, right? But I mean, you and Leslie have been more than kind to, give me some pointers and kind of guide me through this whole
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
So I
You
think
got
I'm
it.
ready.
You got it.
I'm ready.
You got it. Looking back, is there anything you would have done differently in your career or personal life? And what have you learned from those reflections?
Different professionally, I would have probably finished my master's program when I started it,
Right.
instead of waiting until life went by and doing all that other stuff. But however, professionally, I think over the years, I can count on one hand, there were children that I just, not that I couldn't reach them, but I just didn't see the result that I thought I was going to see. And I don't know if the parents got tired. I don't know what happened, but somehow these few kids, like, I mean, they didn't fall through the cracks, but they just didn't live up to the potential that I saw in them.
You saw them,
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know if because some of my parents were young, and some of them were getting younger. I'm like, this is a little crazy.
This is crazy.
So if their priorities aren't there as babies, then they tend to fall through. They can do that.
Things
Yeah,
tend to fall through when you're falling through.
That's true.
Right.
That's
So
true.
it's hard when you can't catch yourself to catch anyone
And I had to
else.
learn that I wasn't responsible for those parents once those kids left me.
Yeah.
They
yeah,
weren't my
yeah.
responsibility.
But they were because they
They
came
were,
in.
but they weren't. You
I know
what
it's
mean?
hard, right?
It's very hard.
Because they're coming into
It's
your
very hard.
space and you're educating them, and then you're sending home for
Yeah.
18 hours or 16 hours with your mom,
Exactly.
and you're losing everything that I just poured
And
in.
sometimes mom's priorities aren't, not just moms and dad's priorities
and
are
dads,
not
right.
the best.
Right.
They're doing other things. They're still trying to grow up,
Absolutely.
basically. And it's like, okay, I can't say but so much, and I don't want to pry or, but I'm like, this kid has potential, and I want to see them do the best that they can do. And I've had some instances where the grandparents, it's like, okay, you know what, from today on, you'll be talking to me,
Right.
and I had to change paperwork
Right.
because the grandparents were responsible at this point. They took over.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And I appreciate that. And hopefully these kids appreciated it too. So it's a whole lot. There's a whole lot that went into that.
It could be a whole lot.
Personally, I try not to have regrets, but sometimes you do. Sometimes the choices that I made as a single woman with a son were not quite the best. I'll say that. They weren't quite the best.
Mm.
But I was delivered from that. See you.
Mm.
Can't, no,
Right.
can't do it.
No.
Because I never dated until my son was in the bed.
Mm.
Like, you don't see him, he don't see you, he knows nothing about you.
Right.
And that's the way it had to be.
Right.
And that just came from the gut. Like, no, and you can't have your kids around everybody.
No, you can't.
You absolutely can't do
no,
that.
you can't.
Because it's like,
Uncle
no,
Ricky,
can't do
Uncle
that.
Bobby, Uncle
No, we wasn't doing
no,
that. Like, no.
no.
So those are the few things. Like I said, regrets. I don't want to kind of regret. I regret. I'm sorry that Taylor didn't get to know his father. I'm sorry he didn't get to know my father. Sorry that my mom didn't live longer because he was 7 when my mom passed away.
Wow.
So my mom was like this.
Right.
So, I'm sorry that those things didn't come to fruition, but I think that they're somewhere looking over
on
us,
them.
to make sure that everything is fine.
Everything is fine.
And guiding us along the way.
Right.
So basically, I'm a happy girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm healthy. I'm well. I'm not homeless. I'm not hungry, obviously. So I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right.
Right.
It could be worse. My
Right.
mother used to always tell me, there's somebody somewhere worse off than you.
Worse off than you.
She said it all the time. I said, you know what? You are so right.
Right. So why are you mad? Why are you upset?
Why am I upset? For what?
No reason to be.
You got to pick your fights.
Right.
You got to pick them. And basically, that's it. I'm a happy girl. I'm all right.
And I'm happy to hear that, right? I'm happy to see that, this podcast is going to be left in good hands, right?
What do you mean left in good hands?
I'm giving it to you. This is
Where
yours.
you going?
This is your podcast, right? I'm just saying, like, the guests that you have coming through,
Yeah,
the
I'm
people
gonna
that
do
you
the best I
have
can with it,
sharing
yeah.
information. And, I'll still be here. I'll be here,
Okay.
over here,
And
engineering.
trust me, I'm willing to take suggestions
Mm-hmm.
from anybody who's watching the podcast.
Right.
If there's a suggestion that I don't have or something you think of, let me know. And
Right.
I'll see if I can develop it into, find a person to interview, a person,
Right.
a professional or whatever, and kind of go from there.
Yeah. I like that.
Help me along the way.
That's
Help
it.
me know.
That's how it works,
Let
man.
me know.
Finally, as you embark on this new journey, what legacy do you hope to create or leave behind?
I think that first of all, it seems like I just turned 21. Okay, time is not waiting for anybody.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I will be 68 in November.
Wow.
And it's like I was just 21. What happened? If you have an opportunity, take it. Don't miss it.
Don't miss it.
You know what I mean? Don't miss it. If you have people in your ear who are not supportive and not giving you, the encouragement that you need,
Words of affirmation.
sometimes you got to lighten your load.
Let them go.
You got to lighten your load.
You have to.
Just keep yourself surrounded by positive people, positive things if possible,
Yeah.
or find your way to that. Have a goal in mind and let your road go right to that goal.
Right.
And if you get sidetracked, get back on
Get
the
back
road
on that road.
and keep moving.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And that's basically all I got. That's it. That is it.
Miss Renee, I want to thank you for taking this time out. Right. This is your first ever podcast. This is your first ever live stream onto Facebook and YouTube. So thank you. Thank you for this time.
Giving me the opportunity. It's just like, even though I didn't know I was doing it,
Right.
I thank you for it anyway.
Absolutely.
It's a challenge that I'm willing to take. You
Let's
know
go.
what I mean?
Let's go.
Not to be afraid, just step on out there and
No.
do what you can do.
We not fearing no man.
Do what you can do.
We ain't got time for it.
And I'm sorry that whatever that was, kind of
So
set you back a little bit.
no,
you know what I mean?
I try not to get upset.
Yeah.
So what the radio station has is a sponsor.
Uh-huh.
And that sponsor is Covanta.
Okay.
They just changed their name to ReWorld.
Okay.
So
Were they a health organization, Covanta? No?
Covanta is not a health organization. It's a trash and steam plant. So it's a trash and steam. I don't know.
I'm thinking something else. Go ahead.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know. And so people feel as though Covanta should move away. I feel the same way.
Okay. All right.
I'm not
Are they trash to steam?
Yep, on 291.
Right, there
Right.
we go. Okay,
So
all right.
so Mom Zuline, right, is
Uh-huh.
pushing to get them shut down.
Okay,
You will never ever hear me say, "Don't shut them down."
right.
You will never ever hear me say, "They're a great neighbor to have if they're
Gotcha.
causing asthma and all these
Yeah,
other
and all
things."
these,
Right?
okay. The respiratory, I remember reading something about that.
I called
I,
Mom Zuline when they called me,
okay,
and I asked her, and she said, "Baby, you have a radio station. You're getting money.
okay,
That don't mean I'm going to stop coming for them."
right.
So we have people who get on here and they feel as though they can say, it's just the last two words. He just said there's two words that I feel like you should not say to another man.
Okay,
You
all
feel
right.
me? So
I
like I
got you.
told him, come see me, or
Okay.
when I hang up this phone, I will find you
Mm-hmm.
and we will have a conversation. I'm not
Oh,
threatening
okay.
to do
I got
anything
you.
to
I
him,
hear you.
but I just want him to know how I feel because
Mhm.
I didn't like the tone.
But you know, this is one of those lessons I'm learning today. It's like when you live, it's always live.
It's always live.
You
And
don't know
anybody can,
what you're going to encounter.
no,
You
you
just don't know.
Right, right, right.
So
So
this today was my first lesson.
Right.
That, okay, we just kind of keep moving.
yeah, you have to. You have to. You feel me? And I try
So,
to, but you know,
yeah.
I feel as though we have to. Our community is so tattered
Mm-hmm.
and split up into different factions,
Right.
and we're all fighting for our children. We're all
True.
fighting so that our kids can understand. But see, it's who we're fighting. See, if
That's
we're
true.
fighting each other, it's not working, and our kids don't see that. All
Right.
they see is us fighting, and then they go on to fight their brothers
It
and their
gives
sisters.
it gives the wrong message.
The
It's
wrong
sending
message. So if we can't have, if you have a disagreement with something that I'm doing, you can call me. My phone number's all over
Right.
the page. You can call me. You can talk to me. You can text me. You can email me. You
Exactly.
can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you're kind of open to. I mean,
I'm- I'm
you're
good.
transparent. You're good to go.
Like
yeah.
I'm good. So, but when you get disrespectful, as far as me
That
personally,
crosses the line. I see. I understand what you're saying.
it kind of irritates me.
Yeah.
And the last person that called me that name was my ex-wife. You feel me? So it's
Okay.
like, bro, why you calling me that?
Really?
What I
Okay.
do to you personally?
Okay.
Are you
So
mad?
this is not personal.
It's not personal.
per
I don't
se.
have
It's
no.
about- okay.
It's about his wording at the end. Right.
Okay.
It was disrespectful for me.
Right.
So that's all. So I just said what I said. I even told him, come see me.
Okay.
You feel me? Let's have a conversation. I don't know what I did to you personally. I didn't hurt you. I didn't rob you. I didn't do anything to you. Beat
But
you up.
you just never know what people are thinking. You know what I mean? Like, and okay.
And
However,
sometimes when there's a group or more of
Mm-hmm.
people that are talking about you getting sponsorship from this
right.
corporation, then they feel as though they
So
can
that
say
struck a nerve. Right.
they
Okay.
can say what they want to say the way they want to say it,
Right.
and I'm not. I don't accept that.
Okay.
He's never talked like that to me. He's never called me, and he said some things before, and I've ignored it.
Okay.
But the fact that he said those two words right there, yeah, that's a problem. So
Okay.
that shows that you have an
Gotcha.
issue, and we got to talk about that.
All
So
right.
anyway, this was the Golden Age podcast, and she is Miss Renee, right? And she is going to be doing this podcast every Sunday at 1:30,
Mm-hmm.
right?
As far as we know, yeah.
As far as we know, it will be 1:30.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish you nothing but luck,
I thank you so much.
and I give you all of my support.
I appreciate it.
And however I can help you out.
Kind of painless. It wasn't too bad.
I told you it wasn't going to be
It
bad.
wasn't too bad.
Right?
At all.
Aside from our you feel me, our little screw up.
But
You
that's
feel
okay.
me?
That's
But
all right.
that's what happens when you go live.
That's
right?
true. And
People
I'm
are
learning. I learned that
yeah,
today.
Yeah.
So
See,
that's fine.
lesson
but thank
number
you
one.
so much. I
Lesson
appreciate
number one.
it.
No
Yes.
problem,
Thank
man.
you so much.
No problem. And we're out of here, man. CMPradio.net, man. It's your boy Uncle P. Like I said, man, be careful the way you talk to people and express your feelings to people. There's another way to go about doing that. It's not always you have to be rude or ignorant, right? Like half of what he said is true. I am accepting money from Covanta for sponsorship. But when he called me a fuckboy, sorry, that took me somewhere else. So like I said, Mr. Corey, you can come see me, 114 West 5th Street. You can call my phone number, 484-802-2383. And I guarantee you when I see you again, we're going to have a conversation. Now, I'm not trying to put my hands on you. I ain't got time to fight. I'm 44 years old, bro. I really don't have time for that. It's just the way you talk to me. This isn't the first time you've come for me. And I know this, right? So, I'm going to call who I need to call, and we're going to have a conversation whether you like it or not. It's CMPradio.net. It's your boy, Uncle P. I want you to have a blessed day. Remember, I love you on purpose. Live out your purpose. CMP.